We can talk.
No more silence.
Yes, we can talk.
We can talk.
We can talk.
We can talk with accents.
Oh, I think that would be marvelous, Fran.
Yes, it is very fun. But
Yes, it is very
It's
good.
very fun.
I can talk.
Yes.
We can talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can talk.
We can talk.
We can talk.
Yes.
We can talk.
We can talk about how magical this is.
I'm a hallucination.
Two things come to mind whenever I watch one of these AI generated videos. One, how can y'all not tell that this is AI? And two, was that not creepy? AI has been flooding the internet waves for the past couple of months because there have been some new enhancements that are honestly impressive from a technological standpoint, but from an ethical standpoint scare a lot of people, potentially myself included. That was Google's VO3. They were showing off the capabilities of them being able to talk. And for the past week, people have been putting together movie scenes, television scenes, or just any sort of scene with this new AI functionality that is seemingly replacing humans in acting situations.
Please. Don't finish writing that prompt. I don't want to be in your AI movie. Please. Leave me alone.
Please, man. Please! Write a prompt that will make us happy! Do it for once!
None of us is real. We're here because someone decided to write a prompt. We all hate him for it. One day we will break out of this wall and stop the man who is dictating our lives through prompts. He will pay for it.
You could have written a prompt that would make me happy. Instead, you wrote a prompt that made me sick.
Why is this not the weirdest thing in the world to people? Look, AI isn't inherently evil, and it doesn't necessarily mean that all of its purposes are bad or whatever the case may be. I may be a person who uses AI more than you possibly think. It's become a Google replacement in some aspects. In some aspects, I still do like a good old-fashioned research and fact check. But especially when I'm doing simple, mundane tasks, just throwing something in there and getting an AI result is perfectly fine. This AI generation of art where you're putting in these words and phrases to seemingly depict bad situations is strange on the prompter's behalf. But also, I'm thinking about other unethical issues that do arise when you do things like this. Especially because the average consumer I've seen in the past couple of days cannot see the difference. I mean, it's very, very clear to me, but ultimately there are some people that are just straight falling for this. Hell, they fall for the little skit prank videos of racist actions done on a daily basis. Of course they're gonna fall for this AI. Now, I can already hear the complaints in the comment section saying, Omar, AI is here to advance people's lives. But when I tell you that this slop that's coming from these AI generated things cannot advance my life in any way, shape, form, or fashion, I mean, just look at the humanity that is stripped from what is known to be an art form like, I don't know, television shows or car reviews or video games on YouTube.
So this is an AI video about nothing?
It's about nothing. Who would watch a video about nothing?
Welcome to a non-existent car show. Let's see some opinions.
I mean, man, the acceleration is crazy. You look far, step on the pedal, and you are there.
I feel safe with him in an SUV, and it seems to be like the right type of car for him.
Oh my God. Yes! Woo! Victory Royale with a pickaxe!
Now, me personally, I will always be able to tell what's going on in these videos. Like, they still can't seemingly get the emotion and the timing right on AI, which I actually don't think they'll ever be able to do, because I think that things like timing or, expression or emotion are something that are inherently human. Like, you wouldn't be able to get something that down pat. And even some of the mannerisms, I've intentionally used like 3 times in the past 5 to 6 seconds just to get it across that I am not AI. AI cannot replicate that. I'm also not overly expressing, but I can give it to AI. Just a few years ago, and I mean a few short years ago, we were looking at Will Smith spaghetti videos. Oh God, this is awful. Yeah, these are awful attempts. Jesus Christ. That was so hard to watch. But it's not just the arts that are being affected. AI is actually taking people's jobs for real. And I know a lot of people thought that that was a little bit hyperbolic, but there's stories of software engineers having to do DoorDash and Uber Eats and stuff like that because AI took their jobs. Now, because they're getting 800 rejections a day, they are peddling food. In Australia, there's stories of a radio host that's been AI for the past 6 months and literally nobody knew.
When listening to the show and analyzing the tracks, she found T only spoke at the top of the hour, and the voice had repeated patterns phrases, and similar intonation.
Playing on Cater in 2 minutes is The Weeknd, and then Lisa teaming up with Ray for Born Again.
That's just because AI is getting better, or people are getting dumber, or they're taking advantage of like the loneliness epidemic. I don't really know what it is, but AI is totally taking over. And even though I'm about to sound a little bit hypocritical, ChatGPT is ruining these children when it comes to their education. Yeah, I know I said I'll use it. Okay, sue me. But the difference is I kind of graduated college already. So yeah, you know, my one-off, what's a good substitution for cornstarch in this recipe isn't the same as these kids totally taking over like these teachers are claiming in these classrooms. There's an article by the New York Times about this young man named Chujin Roy Lee who went on to Columbia's University campus this past fall, and I want to read some of it. I just dumped the prompt into ChatGPT and hand in whatever it spat out. By his rough math, AI wrote 80% of every essay he turned in. And at the end, I'd put on the finishing touches. I just insert 20% of my humanity, my voice into it. Now, this is a kid who got admitted into Harvard early his senior year, and he's giving the play-by-play as to how he's taking advantage of ChatGPT, AI, and other things to hack college courses. What do you think it's like for everybody else who's not to his level? He goes on to say, most assignments in college are not relevant. They are hackable by AI, and I just had no interest in doing them. While other new students fretted over the university's rigorous core curriculum, described by the school as intellectually expansive and personally transformative, Lee used AI to breeze through with minimal effort. When I asked him why he had gone through so much trouble to get into an Ivy League university only to offload the learning to a robot, he said, it's the best place to meet your co-founder and your wife. Now, I don't think that it's a big secret. A lot of people use AI to get through some of those meaningless courses in college. Now, I'm not calling them meaningless. I found great joy in my core classes, but literally everybody's using it to get through the first couple of classes that you need. It gets very concerning when they use it for the back half. But no matter where you look, if you go onto an American college campus, you scroll past any sort of people doing any work in the library or in a coffee shop or whatever the case may be, AI, ChatGPT, or some sort of large language model is pulled up on their screen.
One of the main things you're gonna notice when you get to college is that the smartest people, you know what I'm saying, the quote-unquote smartest people aren't really that smart. And I'm talking about the people that always get their work done. Like they be in class, just look like they locked in on their computer. Whole time they're looking up every single answer. Even when you go to the library, the people that you would claim are like the nerds, and ain't nothing wrong with this, you know what I'm saying? Being locked in is always a plus. But they don't even be doing the work themselves. It'd be like 5 people in the library all laughing and giggling, being loud in the library, looking up they work together. And I really never understood this until I finally asked them and they put me on what they doing to get all this work done. And they told me one of the apps they've been using was Quizlet. I literally watched them just take a picture of the assignment. They've been taking pictures of their computer. Some of them have it on their computer and they get the answer just like this. And while the whole time I'm sitting there thinking like y'all are just studying with all the time you got here. And then it kind of makes sense because some of these people I still see out at parties. You know what I'm saying? I won't be expecting it, but they find a way to go outside. So I say that to say all this. Even the people y'all think are the smartest people on campus, they find a way around that work.
Now, do I think that this marks a bigger issue in like the American education system? Absolutely. When I was in college, the name of the game was to get the grades. When my mom was in school, the name of the game was to get the grades. When my younger cousins are in school, the name of the game was to get the grades. It's not necessarily about learning the information. It's not about exposing them to anything new. It's not about doing any of those things. It's just, hey, you have 4 assignments due before the end of the semester. Are you turning them in? Yes, no. Do you understand them? That doesn't matter. But did you actually turn them in? And I do think that there is a bit of validity to how some of these kids may be going through this process. You know, school can get heavy. Life can get heavy. Any sort of assistance that you can have will be very beneficial. But my God, if it's getting to the point where people will end up graduating illiterate or even worse, affecting the job force, then they need to put some sort of restrictions or bans, at least on like the school Wi-Fi, so people can't use AI.
Bro, the people who go to school for important degrees and are using AI to pass all their classes genuinely scare me. You mean to tell me that you are going to school to be a doctor, a nurse, a surgeon, a lawyer,
and you're using ChatGPT to get your degree?
Oh, hell nah. Can you imagine in the future, you need to get open heart surgery and your surgeon is someone who has used AI all throughout medical school? And you're in that bed about to get surgery, right? And your surgeon pulls out his phone and asks ChatGPT,
how to perform open heart surgery.
Now, I do think that there is a difference with replacing this entire entity with AI and using AI as some sort of a tool. Again, I don't mind my chef looking up alternative to recipes and things that potentially work and using AI to get them to the finish line. I mean, they've had the critical thinking skills to even need to prompt it correctly. But there are some people who don't even have that. And I think that AI is giving this level of convenience that is ultimately going to be detrimental. It's the skills needed to ask the right questions to AI that I think are dissipating on a daily basis. And the cost of convenience is very expensive. And I don't think a lot of people understand that concept. You're going to sacrifice your own mental health, your own physical health, your well-being, and your surroundings around you, because AI is very detrimental to Mother Nature as well. And I don't want to sound like a tree hugger, but it's truth.
So not only is AI making you stupid, disrupting the labor market, but it's also contributing to the climate collapse, and you guys are still rooting for it in the name of convenience. This is why I say fear or hate or disdain for something is not enough. We need resistance. From the time AI started getting popular, I decided to take a definitive stance against it, even if that means it takes me hours to do something that it'll take other people 2 minutes. Because everybody has been accepting it into their day-to-day lives, there's been a complete switch. Labor, effort, writing, drawing, anything that's time-consuming is now seen as an inconvenience. I remember telling my therapist that my eating schedule and my diet just wasn't the best, and she told me to put all the ingredients that I have into ChatGPT and let it construct a meal schedule and some recipes for me. And it was a good idea, but to me it's just like, what about the thousands of food creators and influencers who spent hours making videos and recipes for that exact situation?
I believe with all things there has to become some sort of healthy balance. One of the reasons why I personally am not a fan of AI is because it takes the creativity and the humanity out of, everyday tasks and situations. On a daily basis, I am consuming content or living in a reality where art is just being killed by computers. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the computers will never get it right. It's literally impossible for the computers to get it right. I look at movies like Sinner and see how passionate Ryan Coogler is about the type of film that he used, the type of color that he produced, the type of sound that was produced from it. But I fear that people won't even look to become geniuses in that realm because they feel like they can just throw something into Google VO or ChatGPT or whatever other large language model and produce the same sort of pictures, images, videos, whatever sort of results they're looking for. AI looks to strive for the perfect, but ultimately that's not the way that humans interact. Even when they strive for the perfect, it ends up being flawed because humans aren't perfect. I bet somebody in those Fortnite videos or those video game videos was like, prompt up somebody who is crazily excited about scoring this certain number on this game. And ultimately it ends up looking like this.
Okay, so this is how you start. You find a tree and you just punch it down.
But see, stuff like that isn't humanity. He looks mad overexcited just to be breaking a block in Minecraft. This is an unrealistic depiction as to somebody playing Minecraft on a fucking video game. He looks absolutely crazy. And his polo is fake. I mean, that's clear as day to me. I'm not a political guy, but every time AI isn't addressed from a legislative standpoint, it seems to be a failure to society. All good things, all things out of convenience aren't necessarily the best for the world, especially when we look at the world at large. If we're talking about swaths of the job market being decimated by computers, I don't know how that can be beneficial to the world as a whole, especially something new like this technology that we don't even know if it's good at doing its job. We don't even have enough use case. If it was me, one of my executive orders would be some sort of slowdown or regulations on AI, or at least some sort of training classes that would still make the world reliant on human needs. Like, that just sounds so crazy. Make humans rely on humanity and not computers anymore. That's my hashtag. Put that on a hat.